Good morning and welcome to another edition of the Daily Fix. I am your usual host and presenter, Advocate Tulo Hoyani. Let us continue where we left off yesterday. After the plot was hashed, the 636 plot was hashed by, among others, Sibia, Baloi, Shiko, and Kelly Kumalo. This was now the narrative that was being paraded as the only narrative available. That there'd been intruders into that house and that they'd run away. Now, when the trial started, enters Teffo Malisela. You see, Teffo Malisela is a former policeman. So, as a former policeman, not only was Teffo a lawyer for the four accused persons, because you recall that it was representing accused number 1 to 4 in the Shifiwa Maumela trial. So when Teffo entered the fray, the people behind 636 were running helter-skelter. They were in panic mode. Because here was now an advocate who was also a former police officer who had hands-on evidence about how Senzo Meyo had been killed. So Teffo, made them very uncomfortable because they knew that Teffo knew the truth. Teffo knew that the narrative of 636 was fictitious. And when Teffo brought up this narrative of there being no intruders, the 375 narrative, all hell broke loose. Teffo was then targeted for elimination from this trial. They targeted Teffo because Teffo just knew too much. So they hatched a plot to get rid of him and make sure that he does not become part of the legal proceedings in court. It came as no surprise. You'll recall when Teffo was arrested in court. This never happened in a South African court before. Teffo was then arrested in court for charges like housebreaking. I will deal with that a little later. Why did that arrest take place in court? Couldn't the police have waited until everybody had dispersed and arrested Teffo somewhere else other than in court? In their hurry to embarrass Teffo, because this was the intention. The intention was to humiliate Teffo, harass Teffo, and discredit Teffo, not only in the eyes of the public, but also in the eyes of the people that he was defending before that court. That was the only reason why Teffo was arrested in the manner that he was arrested. It is surprising that up to now, no statement was ever issued, at least by court officials. The highest court official is the judge president, to condemn this kind of thing happening in and around the court. It was just uncalled for. But the issue is the people behind it had a reason to do it. They knew all the TV cameras were there. The whole of South Africa saw Teffo get handcuffed like a common criminal in that court. So the whole idea not only was to get rid of him, and they made sure that through this humiliation, Teffo would then be discredited in the eyes of the people that he was representing before that court and the rest of South Africa. So that going forward, whatever Teffo would then bring up in court by way of 375 would then stand discredited, coming from a man who is alleged to be a criminal, right? Because, let me give you another perspective on this. How do you represent people as a legal representative or as an advocate? And the next thing, in the very court where you are representing them, you yourself end up getting arrested. What message does it send to the people that you are representing? It sends the wrong message. It sends a negative message. It says to them, how is this man going to represent us when he is himself facing criminal charges like us? Where will he find the time to represent us if he's also going to join us in jail? So that was the intention. That was the intention. And this conduct was also, this despicable conduct, let me call it that, was also, condemned by Harry Nel of AfriForum. Harry Nel is on record as having said that, that arrest was unlawful. It was unlawful, or rather, let me rephrase that. It was uncalled for. Even if the police were to undertake an arrest, they should not have done it in the manner that they did it. But there was a plot here. Somebody had a plot, and that plot was to get rid of Teffo. So the Chifuwa Maumela trial collapsed, unfortunately. You recall Judge Chifuwa Maumela is now ended up facing disciplinary hearings, impeachment proceedings that reflected and cast negative aspersions on his suitability to be a judge. Anyway, after that arrest, the Chifuwa Maumela trial collapsed. Right? And it was clear that by the time that he had collapsed, Teffo just had too much on his plate now. These people were on him. They were on him. They charged him, and Teffo ended up in jail. You see, the plot. The plot to get Teffo now was thickening, right? So Teffo was thrown in jail on these charges. I don't just look at the charge of housebreaking and malicious damage to property. Yeah, that is how it goes, right? So he was thrust into jail. On several occasions, he failed to get bail. Why would an advocate of the High Court of South Africa fail to get bail in a simple Schedule 5 offense when the courts in South Africa routinely give bail to rapists and murderers, I've said in the past? So Teffo had to sit it out in jail until Judge Ratamo Kgwatleng came into the picture. So by the time Judge Ratamo Kgwatleng came into the picture, Teffo was no longer there. So the plot, to a certain extent, had succeeded. You see, those who wanted to get rid of him had now, up to this stage, succeeded to get this dangerous man out of the way. So Teffo sat it out in jail for well over more than a year without bail. And the trial then proceeded under Judge Rata Mokhating with different legal representatives. So the people behind the plot to get rid of Teffo must have, celebrated to say he's out of the way. Interestingly, Teffo has been acquitted of all the charges that he was arrested for in that, dramatic way intended for TV cameras. In that dramatic arrest, which was really calculated for the TV cameras, and like I've said earlier on, which was intended to humiliate him. So the man sat in jail for a bailable offense, and ordinarily and routinely bailable offense. So Teffo was out of the way. That is how the narrative goes. You see? So we saw when the Justice Ratamokhate case unfolded, those behind this plot now were a little bit at ease, to say to themselves, and I'm sure they were saying to themselves, oh, he's out of the way. Maybe that will be the end of the narrative of 375 that says there were no intruders into that house. But let me just go back a little bit and say, Teffo has been acquitted of all the charges that he faced. Now, you ask yourself, right? Because police are supposed to investigate and then make an arrest. Now, it would appear that in Teffo's case, they arrested Teffo and then started making investigations about this housebreaking and malicious damage to property. But those charges have been dismissed. As I speak to you, Teffo has got no criminal charges pending against him. Meaning that the public arrest, the arrest staged for TV cameras, can now be seen for what it is. It stands discredited, completely discredited, and unfounded, malicious, and without just cause. Right? It was an unlawful arrest and an unlawful detention. Right? It becomes unlawful because if it was lawful and there was some substance behind it, why have the charges been dropped? Why have those behind it not successfully prosecuted Teffo allegedly for the crime that he was arrested for? But it was all a little bit, it is now water under the bridge. They thought Teffo was out of the way. But Teffo was not out of the way, He can never be out of the way. Teffo will always be part of the narrative of 375. He brought it back, he brought it to the attention of everybody. He knew that there was a docket 375 that had been opened by Warrant Officer Makubu. And he brought it before the court and said to the court, we have another version here. You see, and that version was completely derating what Baloyi was trying to put before the court. And I was surprised in a sense when the previous judge in the previous trial, Judge Chifua Maumela, wanted to hear nothing about 375. Because Baloyi simply said to him, this is a docket that we have put before the court. This is the version that we have put before the court, 636. And anything else is irrelevant. So this is how we find ourselves today, proceeding on the lines that there were intruders into that house. So that is the story so far. But I will just say to you, Teffo is still around. There's more to come. look forward to more and more analysis and revelations around how the theory, or the plot rather, let's put it in blunt terms, the plot, protect and shield the real people behind the killing of Senzo Meyiwa, and to put those innocent people that we see before the Pretoria High Court where they are now. So in the next episode, I'm taking off from where I left. And look forward to the next episode. And you might also be interested to look into one of my previous videos, which I made on the 26th of November, for Ms. Longwe Twilight Prison. That is the subject of that video. It will also bring you up to speed with the latest developments and how it has unfolded along the way. So go back to the 26th of November and look at that video for Ms. Longwe Twala in jail, and stay informed about these issues. Having said that, let me thank you for watching this video. The subscriptions are coming well in a satisfactory manner, and so are the views. I am glad that you are behind this initiative. I value and respect you for the support that you are rendering to this channel, and please continue to support this channel. Having said that, thank you, and please have a nice day.